Bucket List to Love
by CP Santi.
Aya winced at the bright sunlight filtering into her room. Damn, she forgot to draw the curtains fully shut. Judging by the intensity of the light, it was probably near midday. Shading her eyes with her hand, she glanced down. Oh, Rio was gone. The futon he'd slept on was neatly folded at the foot of her bed. She winced as she thought about how she'd come on to him last night. Oh, talk about embarrassing. No wonder he'd skipped out on her so early in the morning. Standing up to stretch, she happened to glance at her reflection in the mirror. Oh, no wonder Ria said no. She'd forgotten to take off her makeup last night, hence the raccoon eyes and weird bed hair. She grabbed a towel and headed toward the bathroom. A shower would make her feel human again. As she stood under the hot spray and washed her hair, she thought about last night. She had been drunk. It was a lousy excuse, but she couldn't blame anything else. Mentioning that she hadn't had sex in eons would be pathetic. Yes, she'd just chalk it up to alcohol. That's right. She leaned her forehead against the wall and groaned. Though she'd been buzzed last night, she had been aware of what she was doing. She had wanted to seduce Rio. She had wanted him so bad it hurt. Oh God, how was she ever going to face him again? She'd practically thrown herself at him. Good thing he had the sense to turn her down, or she'd probably hate herself more this morning. One problem at a time, Aya. She wouldn't have to see him until tomorrow anyway. She should be able to think of a good apology by then. She rubbed her hair with her towel and looked around. Where's my hairdryer? Snapping her fingers, she remembered she left it on her desk last night. Wrapping the towel around herself, she opened the bathroom door and her jaw dropped at the sight of Rio leaning against her desk, munching on a Danish. 2 mugs of coffee were on the table beside him. A paper bag from the French bakery downstairs lay open, and a buttery smell filled the room.
Ohio.
The one over he gave her was not discreet at all. He grinned and gestured toward the table.
I got us breakfast.
He shrugged and gestured her turkey on the table.
Come on, coffee's hot. You're dripping all over the floor.
Suddenly hyper-aware of her state of undress, Aya clutched the towel tighter around her. About last night...
What about it?
Ria rummaged in the paper sack for another pastry. I'd like to apologize. She noticed that he froze, his hand in the sack. Evading his gaze, she hurried on. It was wrong of me to take advantage of you like that. I was drunk, and...
What exactly are you apologizing for, Aya-chan?
Aya gulped. He was now standing right in front of her. For kissing you, for forcing myself upon you like that. Her words were cut off when he pushed her against the wall and kissed her thoroughly. When the kiss ended, they were both gasping for breath.
There. We're even. You don't have to apologize anymore.
His voice was a whisper against her ear. He gently bit into the tender flesh and she moaned.
Not unless...
Unless. He cupped her face and their gazes held.
Unless you'd like to do something that's worth apologizing for.
God, he was hard. His smile was so naughty it almost fried her brain circuits.
What do you say, Aya-chan?
Aya felt like she was at the edge of a precipice, ready to free fall into nothingness. She felt a tinge of fear, as if some part of her recognized the enormity of what they were about to do. It wouldn't be wise to get involved with him, Aya thought. He was leaving soon, after all. Despite her apprehension, she also felt anticipation. She felt so charged with energy and excitement that she wanted to jump right out of her skin. It seemed inevitable that they'd end up like this. They'd been dancing like this since they met. Aya acknowledged that she wanted this to happen. She wanted Rio in a way that she'd never wanted anyone, ever. She looked up at him. He loomed over her, still and unmoving, content to watch the play of emotions on her face, patient enough to let her think things through and decide. At her prolonged silence, he seemed to come to the wrong conclusion. Slowly, he moved back a fraction. It was a mere millimeter of space, but she felt his resolve. He wouldn't push her. She pressed closer, and when his eyes flew to hers, she smiled, the smile. Rio? Let's do it. And she let go of the towel.